national treasure has been destroyed of extreme importance to the Australian nation, and that is irredeemable. Unfortunately, Rio Tinto has brought it upon themselves.
4 months after Rio Tinto reduced 46,000 years of history to rubble, the impact of the blasts at Juukan Gorge in WA's Pilbara region is still being felt.
There is no longer any camouflage for Rio Tinto's deception about these matters.
The traditional owners have finally told their side of the story in a lengthy submission to a Senate inquiry, which is examining the chain of events that led to the destruction of the ancient rock shelters.
The decision to blast it was a conscious decision, made in the full knowledge of the significance of that site. So the company failed and government administration failed.
It's now clear, in the days leading up to the blasts, Rio laid more than 100 additional explosives into the gorge after the traditional owners had made contact and raised concerns. Rio engaged explosives experts to gauge whether it was safe and practical to remove the explosives. They managed to remove a small number that would have damaged nearby heritage sites Rio didn't have permission to destroy. But Rio determined it wasn't safe to remove the remaining explosives that ultimately destroyed the rock shelters. During this crucial week, the traditional owners emailed and phoned Rio multiple times. They briefed a lawyer who called Federal Indigenous Affairs Minister Ken Wyatt's office. The lawyer was told to call the Environment Minister instead. Susan Lee's office said someone would get back to the traditional owners, but no one did.
At that point, before it all became public and conversations may have been had, there was nothing that could have been done.
Rio told the inquiry senior executives were not aware of the significance of the site until after the blasts. Archaeological surveys commissioned by Rio revealed the site's importance, but executives hadn't read those reports.
It's willful destruction of places of enormous significance.
The owners said the destruction of the sites has caused immeasurable cultural and spiritual loss and profound grief.
I'd like to say very sorry.
In June, 730 confronted the company's iron ore boss, Chris Salisbury. At what point does Rio's mine expansion come at the cost of Indigenous history and the value of this site?
Well, like I said, clearly we had a lot of consultation with traditional owners.
In its evidence to the inquiry, Rio has since revealed it was considering 3 other options for the Brockman 4 mine expansion that would have avoided damage to the rock shelters. But it chose a 4th in order to pursue an additional $135 million in iron ore.
It happened by a whole lot of stupid actions, in my belief, that led to people taking the eye off the ball. It seems quite clearly that the lure of the ore body overtook the considerations that should be made for the community concerns.
Paul Wand is a former head of Aboriginal Relations and Vice President of Rio Tinto. He says Rio's reputation as a global leader in heritage management may never recover.
I think it's very damaging. It's hard to say how terminal it is, but if it is to recover, it's going to take a long time to recover because of the significance of what's done. I was gutted.
Rio Tinto Chief Executive John Sebastian Jacques has resigned over the incident. Chris Salisbury and Head of Corporate Relations Simone Niven will also be stepping down. Questions are also being raised about the state government's approval process back in 2013. In December, the Aboriginal Cultural Materials Committee gave the government the green light to destroy the shelters. The minutes of that meeting show then Chairman Gavin Fielding declared he held shares in Rio Tinto, but the committee agreed he was not required to recuse himself.
Look, it's totally inappropriate that you have somebody who's declaring an interest in holding shares in CRA, 1 Aboriginal person and 3 ex officio members making a decision about important caves in that region.
Mr Fielding declined to comment when contacted by 730. The Premier at the time, Colin Barnett, is calling for a royal commission into the entire episode.
Certainly regret the fact that Juukan site, Gorge, has been destroyed. But bear in mind that approval was 7 years ago, and a lot of scientific work has taken place since then. So yes, my government has nothing to be proud of, and the current government has been in power for 3 years, and it happened under their watch. I think this is above the political process. And indeed needs the powers of a Royal Commission.
I think any calls for a Royal Commission are premature, but I must say we know what happened. They were authorised for their destruction under the Barnett government. They were duly destroyed by Rio Tinto, and I think the world now recognises that was not appropriate. But that was all authorised under the Act. That's why we need to have a new regime that has the capacity to consider new information as it comes along.
The Senate inquiry is waiting to meet with the traditional owners before handing down its final report into the Rio saga.
No company would want to go through what they've inflicted upon themselves with this exercise.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.